Welcome back. This is David. Even though you're not going to see me on video this time around, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of a collection we just bought recently. I want to give a shout out to one of the other dealers who we know who could not purchase this at the time. He spent all of his money on a Golden Age collection, so we were able to pick this up in the Baltimore area, which is close and convenient for me. And going to walk you through a little bit of what we got coming. Most of it's going to be showing up at Philly Fan Expo in 2 weeks, not 2 days. This here is the bulk of the $2 stock from this collection. Decent Marvel, DC, some Dark Horse Image, and some other independent stuff. Some of the independent stuff is up top because that was the last box and they don't quite, there's not quite enough for another box. So, you know, some this era of kind of Wildstorm and Image. We've got some milestone books here. All sorts of different titles that either were not complete enough for a set or weren't really settable because they were too long runs. But very good stuff. People are going to be very excited for this $2 stock. The drawer boxes here and here are trade paperbacks, along with the short box and a little bit of trade paperbacks up top. And this box is also going to be $2 stock, but has some mature stuff in there, so we need to figure out what to do with that. But that's the $2 section. Over here we have the complete sets that came with this. So all these are complete sets. We've got some fan favorites like Age of Apocalypse, X-Men Fatal Attractions, Blackest Night. The DC and Marvel are mostly on the bottom. They're a mixed bag of some really exciting sets like the Silver Surfer 90s run, which is 146 issues. But also stuff like Countdown and 52, which are less exciting. These are some of the more independent sets that were in here. I'm going to give you a little preview. So we got, well, Batman Predator was under independent, even though obviously it's Batman. Wanted, don't know if anybody really cares about Wanted anymore, but it was there as a set. Some Grendel stuff, various Grendel sets, a bunch of different Conan sets. There's some, let's see if I can, Deathblow. Full run of an Image title that I can't remember anybody talking about, but it's Jim Lee and he's going to be at some shows this summer and fall. A few Evil Ernie sets in there, miniseries and kind of a longer series. The full run of Authority, which would have been more exciting if the movie were being made still. Planetary, Queen and Country. So that gives you a sense of some of the more quote unquote independent or smaller label stuff. Yeah, we've got Age of Apocalypse. This other X-Men set. I'm going to show you some other almost complete sets, but these are also complete. So again, 7 boxes of complete sets. These will be coming to Fan Expo Philly, but I'm not sure they're going to be out at Fan Expo Philly. This is an exciting box. So we've got the 90s McFarlane Spider-Man run, that 14-issue run. We've got some, you know, again, some stuff like Taskmaster. Not a hugely exciting set, but somebody will probably buy it. 12-issue Thanos miniseries, which again, once upon a time was a big deal, not so much anymore. Some stuff that's less exciting, like the Ultimates, original Ultimates, and I think Ultimates 2 is in here. Ultimate Wolverine versus Hulk. Early 2000s, people would care about that. Now, not so much. But you got stuff like World War Hulk in there. That's going to be much more exciting. We got Herogasm. Almost full run of The Boys, but missing actually about 20 issues. So we're just going to price those individually. Martha Washington Goes to War. Don't know anybody cares about that one, but again, it was there. Same thing with Sword. When there's a complete set in there, we're going to make it and see if somebody's interested. Shadow Man, we got some Valiant, some of the more recent Valiant, Exo Man of War, and then I believe this is, yeah, the Dark Horse Conan. So again, exciting to have this many complete sets in a collection. We also have the Y the Last Man. 1 and 2 are the double feature, and then it goes to 3. We may have 1 and 2 in our price section, so we're going to decide whether we put this out with the double feature in there or whether we put it out with the actual issues. Next up was these are almost complete sets. So these are just missing an issue or 2. All-Star Superman, Batman Hush, missing 612 because 612 was a sketch version which we're going to sell separately. So we'll find a 612 to complete it. Dune 2099, just missing 1 or 2 issues. Fathom #1 is missing. It's in probably those boxes there. It was separated from these books, so I didn't know we had a complete set and then can't find #1, but we'll find it eventually. Lobo is very exciting, almost complete set here. The set in this box, or in this collection, was missing just 1 issue, number 63, but we had another one that was just missing 2 issues. 64 and 46. So those two will be going to complete the other set. And now we have another Lobo set that's just missing 3 issues ready to go out. New X-Men is missing 1 book, and it's not one of the harder ones to find, so that'll be coming out soon. Punisher Bullseye, and again, we had a full run of the Spider-Man McFarlane, but there was enough to almost complete, start missing 11 through 14. And then these are books that are completing sets that we have already in the, completing or filling in holes in sets that we have moving on. So I mentioned earlier, like Lobo. So again, exciting to have some books. We'll have 2 Venom Lethal Protector sets out. And then these books are books that they weren't complete. There's not a big run, but they're random books that we, like sets that we make frequently enough that we'll hold on to these books in case they fill a hole in the set later on down the road. So again, these are more like, we'll call them workbooks for us. So eventually these will get put into a set when we are building it otherwise. So again, exciting to have a lot of sets already made. Some heavy hitters in here that are pretty close to being made. Some stuff that completes sets that we're already working on, and then some stuff that will help us fill out stuff later. Now we'll get into the stuff that's going to be more individually priced. This box here is all Spawn related. Now you see Curse of Spawn up top, which isn't super exciting, but then you see Spawn, well, I pulled just a little off. So this is Spawn number 1 all the way down to Spawn 150 complete. So that's very exciting. These books are all What If books. Now only this many are the original series, but again, you got number 1, you got the number 10, which was a much bigger deal at some point with Jane Foster becoming Thor, which, I don't know, it's in here somewhere. Let's see, now I'm locked in, I gotta find it. There we go, What If Jane Foster became Thor. And then we get into the 90s What If books. These are solid sellers for us, so we're always excited to see, like a third of a box. This is the quote-unquote price stuff, and I don't know why I say quote-unquote. A lot of this is going to be $5 type, that's not the most exciting, or it's stuff that's a little strange. It's not, kind of normal stuff for us, like this, photo covers of Army of Darkness, Full Metal Fiction. This cover is probably like a $20 book. So these are going to range probably from like $5 to $20. Some of them I pulled, they might go back in the $2 section. The last couple issues of X-O Man of War have a little value to them. Again, this is more of the font number 1, bunch of Lobo prestige format books. So again, a lot of these are going to be in kind of like the $5 section, but then you got like Silver Surfer Green Lantern, which is like probably a $20 book. That would Spawn, maybe 10. So again, nothing that's going to knock your socks off in here, but some Johnny the Homicidal Maniac trade paperback. Let's see. So this is the a bunch of Cry for Dawn stuff. Whoops, that's that. I think has a little value to it, and then some Dawn that doesn't. A chunk of Walking Deads, and like I said, a run of the Boys. It has both the first issue, the last issue, but it's missing a few in between. These are going to be more of like your Marvel DC. Again, anything ranging from $5 to 20 or so for First Omega Red, if that hasn't gone up in value. Wolverine, a couple issues of Wolverine number 1 from his ongoing series, some Uncanny X-Men, none of the big Uncanny X-Men books, gold and silver versions of Spider-Man number 1. So it gives you a general sense. Again, this is, in some respects, it's probably more like a $5 section, but you have some good stuff in here. Spider-Man $2.99, some other McFarlane Spider-Man covers from Amazing Spider-Man. No $300, but you do have 361, which is actually signed. Some of these books were signed, but they're not authenticated. We'll get into that in a second. So yeah, so good, good. Oh, there we go. The other kind of big one that's in here is the first Beta Ray Bill. So that's probably the biggest book in here, but otherwise you're looking at a bunch of kind of like $5 to $10, maybe a handful of $20 books in there. The big books though, to wrap this up. Well, quickly, there's some kind of like Bronze Age. This is all a Ghost Rider run, which I might read before we put it out to sell. These are books, the kids books, or like toy related. So when we go to like a toy show, we might bring these. And then lastly, the two big books in this collection. So again, the price stuff, there wasn't any like major keys except for these two that'll be more expensive. I'll start with this one, which is X-Men 11, but it is a silver, let me try and get the glare off of that, silver variant that I forget, you had to get it through some kind of mail away, I think. So this is a good example of, this guy had actually a complete list of his comics for us to look at before we bought it. And so again, giving a sense that we knew everything that was in this collection before we bought it. But even being in this business for 30 years, I just kind of glanced over the 90s X-Men stuff because I know what's in this collection, and I know that, you know, the 4 and to the extent the 5 with the Omega Red are worth a little something. I know that the regular 11 is about a $20 book, but I did not even think to look for this. I didn't even know it existed, honestly, till I saw it next to the one with the red cover. And thank goodness that both were in there, because it's possible I would have even just sort of like glanced over it and not noticed it was silver. But yeah, so this is an example of a book that's got, I don't know exact value yet. We're probably going to put it out somewhere between $200 and $300 that was in there that I did not know about because I didn't know it existed, and just sort of, again, glazed over that part of the list that he sent us because, you know, I already quote unquote knew what was in there. This one I did not glaze over though, which is Incredible Hulk 340. This one's in pretty good shape. It needs a nicer bag to really make it pop a little bit. And then you can obviously see, again, no certificate, but a pretty recognizable Todd McFarlane signature on it. So we're real excited about that one. Again, haven't priced this one yet. And like I said, it's in real good shape. Just needs a nicer bag and board. So these two will definitely be out at Fan Expo Philly. But those were the two that, you know, again, we knew this one was in there, although we didn't know what kind of shape it would be in, and we certainly didn't know that it was autographed. And then this was a nice little mystery surprise. So that's the collection that we'll be bringing to Fan Expo Philly and to several shows over the course of the summer, and a little bit of a sense of how we sort and the kind of things that we find sometimes when we're not expecting things.